You're such an asshole.
Nothing's going right today. I tried plugging that in and it's not working. It's all these small little mosquito bites that will kill you. So what it will do. All right, we have requests. If you got a request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com or anything and stuff and pay. Hello, asshole. I recently saw your video about a young man who had a very low IQ and what jobs are suitable for people that have low intelligence. I want to pay for a video request about what advice you would have for folks that have low intelligence, like IQ of about 70 to 80. 70, I mean, it depends, really depends. Like, there's a difference between 70 and 80. I believe 70, like, that's officially mentally retarded. And I think 70, you're almost at the point you can't work or you're on the cusp of not working. I'm not an expert on mental disabilities and super low IQ and functionality. But like if you're 85, okay, this is in the military will take you even if you're 85. So there's some functionality there, and the military might be one of those jobs where there's supervision you definitely want to consider. But if you're 70, I think you're starting to enter the realm of you need someone to wipe your ass. And I mean, you're maybe approaching invalid, knowing you're not going to be able to support yourself. So I'm not an expert in that. People who work with people with mental disabilities are, and we'll get to that. But it really does depend what type of it. So, like, if you're talking about yourself, I honestly, I don't just ballparking here. I don't think you have a low IQ of 80 because you wouldn't be able to write this unless it took you really long to write this. But right now, your writing is pretty clear and cogent. So based on this one example of your intelligence, you should be able to find a job. I mean, you're able to pay and figure out how to pay on PayPal. What type of advice would you give for them for how to do personal finances, getting a job, relationship, and other stuff? Basically, how to live independent lives like other people. Anything you wanted to add in the other video, want to talk about? I want to pay for a video request. Let me know how much you want to charge for this video. All right. So I took some notes here and let's do some top down stuff first. Okay. Before we start going through individual things you should do, one of the things you got is like let's critically assess everything about us. Is it really intelligence or are we just lazy? Stuff like that. All right. So first, are you really that dumb or did you not test well? That is a big thing. I know everyone likes IQ tests. I know there's the queendom thing. But if you do not test well, you may be misled into thinking that you're dumb. And just as you don't want to overdiagnose your intelligence, you don't want to underdiagnose your intelligence because you're like, I remember it happened. I'll tell the story again. Minneapolis Business College. I could say it now because it's out of business. Where the world's dumbest fucking college students ever attended. They thought they were so intelligent. They couldn't even get into a community college. So these are the ones that were mouthing off because I caught 80 some. What percentage of you guys plagiarized your final paper? And I had to teach statistics. And so to teach statistics, I said, okay, why don't you all take this online IQ test? Because I think, yeah, we had the Z-score and the standard deviation. And this one kid, he was smart. You just knew he was smart, but he was just this dumb. Okay, he was smart, but he was a goofing off jamoke. Did take his studies seriously, dressed like a buffoon, but he was smart. And he took the test and I think he got a 75, like a really low. And he was like, I guess I'm mentally retarded. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, really? Like, that's like, we're almost at street shitter or pants shitter stage right here. Do you really? And it just shows you how the test will mislead you into thinking you're something you're not. It's like, no, you're just this lazy dipshit whose parents didn't train you right. And you're more intelligent. You're not mentally retarded. But he thought he was. It's like, no, you just a typical lazy dumb shit kid. That's all you are. So you gotta ask yourself, did you test well? Are you really dumb? Are you? Do you know for a fact or you just not test well? So that's one thing. Also related, are you dumb or are you just lazy and you didn't try? Which is related to testing well. Like if you don't study for a test, if we were to use my GPA or my ACT score, I'm dumb. Like I was a solid C- student. I forgot what my ACT or SAT scores were. They were about, oh God, I was so tired when I took that test. I hated fucking tests. I'm sure I have like an IQ, no joke, low end, probably like 90. All right. But I never tried, and I was lazy when I was taking those tests. Come to find out when I actually try and put my efforts into it, yeah, I'm in like the high 130s for an IQ. I guess you got to subtract though from. It's like I'm somewhere in the 130s, somewhere there. On a good day, high. On a bad day, low. All right. But that's because I tried and sat the fuck down and studied. So that's the first thing. You may not be dumb. You just think you are. So that's the first thing. So maybe go get professionally tested. You don't even have to get professionally tested. Try the Queendom test online. Like, and don't just mail it in and be a lazy dumbass. Actually give it your best. Maybe practice, brush up on a little bit of math problems, right? Take some logical test problems. You can find them on the internet. And then we just brush it up a little bit. I'm not saying you got to give it your best, but then take the Queendom test, acute IQ test online, see how you fare. By the way, it's timed. So you might want to just know that. And it'll give you a ballpark. And if you give it a good, honest go, then you're like, okay, I'm somewhere around here. And if you get an IQ of 100, well, that's average. That doesn't mean you're dumb. You're average. Good. So you mentioned a lot of things: finance, jobs, relationships, and all that. All of these, okay, in general. So what if you're dumb or smart? This doesn't matter. The key to success is to avoid mistakes. Okay. And that's good for dumb people because the majority of success comes from not fucking up. You're still going to have to work. You're still going to have to try hard. But if I look at people's success, I'm not joking. 80% of it is whether they avoided the mistakes. And what are the 5 major mistakes, boys and girls? Spend less than you make. Don't have kids you can't afford. Don't major in dumb shit. Don't commit crime. And if you're a guy, don't get married. If you're a girl, get married. All right. So, and I'm not joking about it. Like if you just work some regular ho-hum job, you're $40,000 a year and you live frugally and you spend your money wisely and you're not buying fancy cars and you're not having kids you can't afford and you stay out of jail, you're going to succeed at least financially better than about 80% of the Americans, including the intelligent ones. So avoid those 5 mistakes among many others. I do know for some people with lower IQs, they're capable. It just takes longer to figure it out. So you could probably, I'm not saying you could be, but it's possible you could become an accountant. It's just going to take you 2 to 3 times as much studying. What's his name? Penn Jillette. He works with mentally disabled people in Vegas. And they can learn to work at McDonald's or sweep the floors or whatever, but it takes them a long time to learn it. You're just going to have to lock in and accept that you could be capable of some of these things. It's just going to take you more time and more effort to learn it. So you can master it. You could get it into rote rehearsal. It's just your brain takes a longer time to learn it. So you're going to kind of have to accept that learning how to do these things is going to be harder. And then I would say minimalism. Right? You don't need no fancy cars. You don't need no fancy house. I'm not saying live in squalor either, but your main issue is going to be finances, making enough money because you're going to probably make a lower wage. But as I said before, avoid the mistakes. You don't need that much, actually. I mean, yeah, if you can make $160,000, go do it. Absolutely. But I would still keep your expenses low. You know, if you're in a neighborhood where you can walk to work, or an environment where it isn't 20 below zero outside, things like that. And so these overarching things will make it easier for you to succeed in life. So going forward, here are the specific things that I kind of came up with. The first thing you need to worry about is protection from bad people. Because if you're dumb, there are evil people out there that love dumb people and are going to take advantage of you. Like people who are saying, like, "Oh yeah, I got an investment that you can make all this money," or "Hey, lend me some money, I'll pay you back 20%." That's why I'm more concerned about dumb people being taken advantage of by criminals and evil people. And then also, kind of similar, you may, especially if you don't have parents or you have bad parents, you may not know how to negotiate and navigate the real world, thereby leaving you exposed to people that could take you advantage of you. And so what I would do, depending on how dumb you are, is I would go and find, it depends on the state and the county, find some kind of disability services where you live, maybe through the county, the city, or the state. Now, I just did an example here. I'm in Nevada, and Nevada has a program, adsd.nv.gov, programs for persons with intellectual disabilities and developmental abilities. And so here it says there's the Desert Regional Center, there's the Rural Regional Center, and the Sierra Regional Center. And so it looks like there are some resources out there for people with mental impairments where they might have a jobs program, they might have a training program. I'm also thinking about protection for bad people, like um, lodging, right? Where do I go to find an okay place that's good lodging and the landlord ain't going to screw me over? And so, what I would do if you have to be dumb is look up these resources in your area. I would go through the government. Don't look for some nonprofit that's going to scam you out of money. Because, like, already right off the bat, there's people willing to scam you because, like, oh, I get government aid and I could get this. Here's this nonprofit and you got to pay us. Well, why are you a nonprofit then? So I would start with a government, whether it's the state or local government, city or the state or the county, and see what resources are available and start there. And though I don't really believe much in government efficiency or nonprofit workers and disabled people workers, at least those people are in the field and the profession and know what kind of scams are out there, safe places for you to go and send out a resume with a social security number, safe places for you to apply for lodging, places to go and get lodging. They might even have jobs lined up like, oh, okay, well, you're mentally impaired. We have some employers that are looking and we have some jobs already lined up for you. So that's the very first thing I would do if it turns out you are indeed low IQ and unintelligent. And then I'd almost kind of go with that resource because they're the ones that are tapped into healthcare, employers, things like that. Kind of related, although I guess it would be um, more along in the lines of jobs. See if you could qualify for the military because the military will protect you from other scam artists and all that. Like live on base, do what you're told. If you could get into the military, there's this added layer of protection from, well, all you dumb boys and girls, well, mostly you boys. You could have an IQ of 120. You're going to go get your fucking Hellcat or your crotch rocket. You're going to crash it with your military signing bonus. I would almost look to the military as a place to kind of like, oh, okay, like they'll feed me, clothe me. I got some kind of job. And, you're not going to make a 5-star general or an admiral, but the military would be one of the safer places I'd go look for employment and kind of lodging and all that and protection. But find some kind of disability service for protection, lodging, transportation, and employment. So that'd be the first thing. Finances are pretty straightforward. After you find some kind of job or employment, spend less than you make. If you could do some basic math, subtraction, that's basically, I mean, not kidding. I'm talking for super high IQ people. Dude, I don't care if you got a doctorate. the number of people I see who got PhDs that don't know that you make $120,000 a year, but you spend $130,000. They don't know how to do that simple subtraction. You need a personal budget. So that just spending less than you make, making sure you stick to that budget. No, you're not getting a fancy car. Take the bus if you have to. Bike to work. Common sense stuff like that. Also, when it comes to finances, you're going to need maybe to save some kind of retirement plan. And that's why I'm really worried and concerned about low IQ people is, dude, there's every scam out there. Like, oh yeah, invest in us. Oh, get life insurance. Oh, have you thought about a variable annuity? And it's coming from legitimate firms. I mean, they scam regular people. So I would also talk, like if you're in the military, talk to your commanding officer about a retirement plan, like the thrift savings program. I think that's the TSP, right? Is what you guys got in the military. See if there's a financial resource manager that teaches you, okay, yeah, you set up an IRA and this is a reputable company and stuff like that. But do not, my concern is when it comes to investments, make darn sure you're investing in an IRA, a legitimate retirement program. Do not get into hedge funds or private equity or crypto, bro. That's what I'm concerned about. So spend less than you make. Most of your financial problems will go away. Save your money. Invest it wisely. Even if you got to pay a manager to manage it, but make sure it's in a correct and certified investment program, like an IRA, a 401k, a thrift savings program. And you should be able to talk to your boss. You should be able to anyway, and have them like, oh yeah, here's your IRA or your 401k. You could set it up here. And that's about it with finances. I mean, really, you spend less than you make and you save your money, you're going to do better than the average person. And then jobs, a little bit of good news here, depending on your IQ. Right now, the vast majority of Americans, smart, educated, dumb, uneducated, are lazy and they don't want to do the job right. And this has opened up a world where you can make money, but you don't need a PhD. You don't need to have a super high IQ, because almost what's more important now is showing up on time, doing the job right, and not screwing it up. It is that, I hate to say it's that simple, but yeah, it kind of is that simple. And things that used to be, kind of for kids or low IQ workers anyway, people aren't even doing it anymore. I'll give you a perfect example. Landscaping. If you're willing to just mow yards, right? You're smart enough to mow yards, I presume, and shovel driveways, and you know to not mow over the water hose, and you know to show up on time and do it. And if you can, install fencing, you can lay sod. These are not, I did this in high school. It wasn't intelligent. It was just work. Back in the day, God, what were we paid? I think we were paid like $4 or $5 an hour. Well, you don't have to go work. Maybe you go work for someone else for a while, just to get the skills in the trade and learn how to do it. Or maybe watch a YouTube video and you could figure it out, depending on your intelligence. But if you just strike out on your own and you run a landscaping company or a window washing company, chimney cleaning, oh my God. I've talked about, like, you pay $120 to get your chimney cleaned. It takes about an hour, hour and a half. That's good money. Now there's costs involved. What I'm saying, just like anyone else, yeah, you're going to probably have to start off working for somebody. But if you start working for yourself, you could charge, I think my old man was saying it's $45 an hour to wash windows, detailing cars, cleaning cars. I mean, you could even do things like cleaning up the garage. People will pay for shoveling driveways. People would probably, depending on the size of the driveway and the size of the yard, people pay you $50 to shovel their yard or shovel the driveway. Sorry, mow their yard. All of a sudden, you're talking about pretty real money here. And it's a blessing because most Americans are too lazy and just too lazy to do the job, let alone right, let alone on time. So if you're not lazy and you're punctual and you're smart enough to do it right, you can start charging some pretty good money and make a little bit more than $40,000 a year. Some other things I got here, like security guard work, although you never make a lot of money doing that. Some of the low end trades, like maybe start out as a general laborer. Maybe you can learn how to do framing or flooring. Maybe if you really all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I understand this. Maybe you could handle something a little bit more like HVAC or roofing or something like that. Truck driver, not to insult our good friend Alex Patino, truck driver and Latino agent in the field, but you don't need to be a rocket scientist to do it. You just need to be a good driver. And you got to do a little bit of math and some, like when you drop off your load and some paperwork. But that's something you might want to consider. I talked about the window washing and all that. But yeah, are you going to work for NASA? No, you're not. But there's some fields out there that no one wants to do because it's just labor or it's boring. And with a little bit of training, a little bit of work. And again, I'm sure if you go to these nonprofits or go through the government, these disability services, they probably know, oh, yeah, you have an aptitude for these things. You can't do those things, but you could probably try that thing. And so those are just kind of the ones that come off the top of my head. But it has nothing to do necessarily with aptitude as much as it is that no one's doing these jobs right anyway. They're failing. They're screwing it up. And so I think it's kind of wide open. And there's so few people that if you know how to do things well, you could strike out on your own, start your own small little company and make some pretty decent money. Let's go to your email here. So we did personal finances, getting a job, relationship. I won't worry about relationships. Because those will happen naturally, right? You'll just gravitate to people that have the same IQ. That happens naturally. Don't try. You got bigger fish to fry. If you have the disadvantage of being, dumb, things are a lot harder, and let's focus on lodging, transportation, budgets, personal finances, some kind of training, maybe employment, and get stabilized there. And then maybe after that, which by the way, going through that alone, you're going to run into people, you probably make some friends there anyway. But then maybe if there's a community for low IQ, somewhat hardworking people or some kind of resources or some kind of social activity. Okay, yeah, you could go out depending on how functional you are. If you can drive, okay, go to meetups. I mean, you're just like a regular normal person then. But the one thing I will say about intelligence is you gotta, whether it's dating or friends or something, you gotta be within at most, well, I even want to say, I'd say half a standard deviation. If you start hanging out with people that are either way smarter than you or way dumber than you, you just can't, you don't hate them. You just can't get along with them. You're not like, oh my God, that's amazing, because you don't know what the heck they're saying, either because they're too smart or too dumb relative to you. And I wouldn't even know where to begin about romantic relationships with dumb people. I'm sure there are dumb women out there and there are dumb men, and you guys can love each other just the same. I mean, I know that's true, but I don't know how you go about Lord knows I've asked out a ton of dumb women. It's a pain in the ass, but I almost wouldn't worry about that for now. And if you have to meet a cute girl and she seems to like you and you seem to like her, ask her out. Of course, you don't have to take a fucking IQ test. Oh, whoa, you're way too smart for me, or you're way too dumb. Like, if you like each other, you like each other. Don't make it more complicated than that. But again, I'd be a little bit worried. Make sure, like, don't let people know you got money like that. That's just a general good rule. That way, you don't have to worry about people scamming you. I honestly, you know what I think? I think you could take dance classes. I really could. That'd be a great way to tell if you know how smart you might be. If you can figure out how to dance, you're not dumb. I mean, you don't have to be a genius, but you need to know like beat and steps and moves and structure. So, and then that's a social activity. I wouldn't go if you can't get it, don't keep going and making it painful for yourself or the dance instructor. But yeah, when it comes to social relationships, I would just, you work with the guys at work. Okay, cool. Are you, do you like going to the local bar and having a drink or playing pool or whatever? That I'd just go do that normally like anyone else. I wouldn't let your IQ affect it. Like, if you want to go bowling, join a bowling league. And then you just kind of let it go from there. But I've never been one for attacking the problem of social relationships with science and math and statistics. I use it to guide things, but no, if there's like, hey, you want to go hang out, go hiking sometime, that's about it. It's about it. I never really thought much about IQ or intelligence. That's about it. Depending on where you are, I'd start by looking up some resources for like disability services within your state or county. Also, why don't you try taking an IQ test online, see where you are, just so you know, and then kind of look up. There's scales out there like, oh, you got an IQ between this and this. Oh, you're around here. You're capable of this, but you're not capable of that. Are you between this range and that range? Okay, this is where you can do this, but you can't do that. So find out exactly, are you really dumb? And if you are dumb, how dumb are you? And then go talk to some people at the county or the state and see what kind of programs and resources they have to kind of, those main things: lodging, education, training, employment, and transportation. And man, show up on time, do the job right, do a quality job, spend less than you make, don't have kids you can't afford. You're going to do better than 80% of the regular people out there. It's how bad and dumb they are. They ain't got no excuse. All right, there we go. We have Vlad Elkins here. Does anyone else get a bit concerned that Clary might be having some problems? Yeah, I have problems today. Right off the bat, I asked because sometimes I get a bit concerned that Clary might be having some problems handling the problems he has. Yeah, right now. Oh, we got a super chat. I was wondering if super chats weren't coming in because we hadn't had super chats for the past 3. I'm like, oh, are the super chats down again? Is this the other mosquito bite that's happening? Ken Rose for $5. Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it. And also thank you for testing it. So, okay, no, super chats are fine. Hector, hey, Uncle Hector. I'm concerned that he has what he has in that bag. I'm leaving it there. The bag's going to stay there. It ain't my bag. I hope you're doing well, Uncle Hector. What else we got? We got Vlad Elkins again. Clary said concerned. Got Uncle Hector. Chad, I'd be curious about your IQ. You're not dumb. Wasn't Athens way the fuck up there though? I mean, he was way the high up there. All right, we got another super chat. What we got going? Wisda. Hey, Wisda. He says a super sticker, but unfortunately, we can't see what it is because StreamYard does not allow super stickers. And that's it. I do not have Curse of the High IQ linked below. I do have, however, Bachelor Economics, which is probably written for a 105, 110 audience. But if you happen to be dumb, I'd still recommend getting it anyway, because it goes through all the different financial decisions you're going to have to make starting at the age of 14 to death. And it's really more of a reference book. So you should be able to get most of the concepts down. But if you need a good starter book or just a reference book to go back and read and know the basic facts of financial planning and investing and personal financial management, I recommend you get that. And that's a pretty good start. But I would go, I got to imagine these disability service people, they know the scams and the rackets, and they should have resources like, yeah, we work with whatever Bank of America, and they handle people with mental disability. So I would start there. For once, the government might actually provide a decent service. Chase Robido, $5. Do you have anybody who can proofread a request before I submit? What, to me? Just send it, Chase. Like a request to me? No, proofread it yourself. What do you mean? I'm not going to judge you. What do you think I give a shit? I mean, as long as there's in a wall of text and it kind of gets to the point, you should be fine. All right, that's it. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.